Okay, this one should be short because I already did the work. I just want to show you the reasoning behind it and why it works. So um, when so we want to be able to rescale components without messing with the things under it. That way we have a lot of flexibility. Otherwise, it's really tricky to like encapsulate things or have a layout that is reasonable. Like then you get like super nested components and you have to lay things down, like you have to flatten. Let's see if you can see my hands. Flatten. Oh, this is hard. Okay, so I'll show you the workflow because to make it a lot faster, I use ChatGPT for the static function. So I'll show you just the conversation that we had. So I asked it right here. Let's see if I can. So right here, does Unity have a function that applies scale to a mesh so that we can have a scale of 1 or at least a uniform scale? So it would modify the mesh and then set the scale back to 1. It says yes, but it depends on what kind of mesh you mean. An imported model mesh, like just a regular mesh, versus a Pro Builder mesh. And Pro Builder allows you to build different shapes and then modify them. So I said both, and so our static function should, no matter what it is, apply it to the mesh and then set scale to 1. And so it asked me what version of Pro Builder do you have, and so I go to the package manager, window, package management, package manager, and so Pro Builder, the version that we have is version 2.9.8 F3. So I tell it that. Let's go back to ChatGPT. And just from that, and I tell it I want to be able to do both. Let's see. Yeah, I'm using Pro Builder 2.9.83F. Our function should apply both to Pro Builder and Mesh Filter. Mesh Filter is the normal way to do it, or for a model or for like a 3D cube or whatever. And Pro Builder has its own cube function, which is different. It should work in both editor and at runtime. I think that's the only 2 prompts that I gave it. Yep, that's the only 2 prompts I gave it. And then from that, it created this static function. And I had to read through it to figure out which of these many functions, because most of them are helper functions that we should use. But so logically, like after I read through it, this is the head function, and this is the payload of all of this. And so all I did after that is I wrote a script. Let's find the script. After that, I made a wrapper script, since it's just a static function that we could use anywhere. So I just call it mesh scale baker. And then in it, oh wait, that's where I put the static function, mesh scale baker, and then bake scale into mesh, and I made it part of our layout operations class. I gave it a context menu option of bake, so all we have to do is call bake just to test it out, usually to test it out, but we could use it in the editor. And then public override void execute, that's the main function of any layout op class, and that's part of our layout system that we made. So we got a target transform, and I mean it's pretty standard. So in execute, if target is null, then we just make it this dot transform. Since the function takes a game object, we retrieve the game object from target after we set it, and then we just call their function. And all I did was cut and paste the signature. But I mean, you shouldn't have to do that. I'm not using any autocomplete on the IDE. Yeah, so mesh scale baker.bake local mesh into mesh. And then for keyword arguments, instead of equals, you use a semicolon, and then so root is our game object that we retrieve. I don't really want to include the children meshes at first, and then we update the mesh collider. I think that that should always be true. And force unique mesh instance is true. And then from that, let's go here. Let's go back to right. So let's go back to here. Let's make a cube just to test it out. Create, oh, not empty. Control Z. So we'll test it on two things. So we got, actually let's delete the two things I already tested it on. This is just to demonstrate. So we have create empty, not create empty. Okay, let's try this one more time. So 3D object cube. And so we have our cube. Let's move it so we could see it, because I think that's overlaid on something else. Oh wait, I mean we already had that cube there, right? Okay, so we can just do it on this cube. Okay, so say we scaled it so that it was 2 long, or 3 long. So we have a scale of 3, so if anything was under it, here I'll show you. So let's put it back to 1. So put it back to 1. My keyboard's upside down. I call it a Lotus keyboard. So, but sometimes it's a pain. But like, it wouldn't be a pain if I had a map on the top and proper keyboard. But they don't make they don't make both left and right hand half keyboards. So I'd use whole keyboards. Like my left hand is a partial keyboard, and my right hand is a whole keyboard. Anyhow, that's not even relevant. But so to our cube, let's add, I don't know, 3D object sphere. So we've got a sphere, and already you can see the sphere is stretched, which that's not what we want. Yeah, so we have a scale of 3. So like anytime we wanted to change the scale of the cube, then the rest of the stuff under it gets messed up. So then we have to like make it a flat list, and then there's no organization to our game objects. So let's add a component here. Bake scale into mesh, and we don't have to specify the target because it'll find it. Because it's like if target equals null, then target equals this dot transform. Now we have our context menu bake option. So let's see if I can show this. Yeah, so here's bake, and we just call it, and then boom. So you can see here we have a scale of 1, 1, 1, and the sphere underneath it right here is now a sphere and not an oval. All right, that is fantastico. And then I'll show you what's next with this. I've decided to do this. So let's get something that is not perfectly square, right? We could use the sphere, like to lengthen it. That's not the greatest example. Let's I know what I want. I just forget what it's called. Like it's a rounded cube, which is good. We'll be using like a rounded cube for our backgrounds and stuff because it just looks better. So assets, searching assets, cube. I don't know if it's called cube. So there it is. So we have this cube mesh, right? And if we drag it into our scene, right? Give me my cube mesh. Instantiating mesh due to calling mesh filter to mesh during edit mode. This will leak meshes. All right. Well, whatever. Oh, this is a model, right? Yeah, that's a model. Let's see if this is the same thing. Which model is it using? It's a probeller shape. marker, PB cube. Ah, okay. This is a game object, so we could use that. Let's pull this in. Just pull it in upward. That way it's simpler. Now, we can't see it. There it is. So see how the corners are rounded? Now, if we scale it, it's at a ridiculous scale right now. So let's scale. Let's do X at like, let's say it was 3 times the size. So like 90. And then find, escape, find. So see how if the scale's at 90, the corners are off. And while it doesn't look too bad on the screen, like if those were angular, like 45 degrees, it would look pretty bad. And besides, I want it to be really good. Like especially in the VR, if it's off just a little bit, it's not going to look that good. And the longer that got, the dumber it's going to look. So, I mean, we'll have things that are much longer than that, especially backgrounds for like controls. And I'm a perfectionist. So, I don't know. Maybe we could do this real quick. Let's try it. Like, if you don't want to see me fiddle around, then you can just skip to like the next video. Alright, so since we have that, I can just say, okay, now what I would like to do is have a function that takes x, y, z dimensions, and rather than multiplying all what do you call it? Bear with me. Actually, that rather than baking scale in this way, I want to preserve the corners. So what we will need to do is probably take the desired dimensions as a vector 3. First we'd have to do a scale fit. I'll explain that in a second. So first we want the corners to scale reasonably. We can do that by uniform scale to fit dimensions. So get current dimensions of the actual mesh and uniform scale to desired to fit into those dimensions. And uniform scale fit as in get ratio of source to target width ratio of source to target height ratio of source to target depths. Grab the minimum ratio and scale and what do you call it? Scale and multiply all vertices to that. From there, after we have scaled so that the corners are of reasonable size, I would like to take the difference of current dimensions and target dimensions, get the centroid, and for instance, if x position of vertex is greater than centroid position, move it by half that difference along the positive x. Same for negative x, and we do that for each axis. What do you think? And would this perhaps we should first try it on a mesh filter, and once we have success with that, figure out how to do it with a Pro Builder mesh. There we go. Alright, we'll let it figure it out. So we asked it what it thought. Let's see if it writes it. If it doesn't write it, I'll be like, go ahead and write it. And then while it's doing that, I can explain what the rationale is here. Okay, it's writing it, so that's good. So now let's go to Paint and clear. Alright, so say we have a mesh. Oh, let's go back to this. So say we have a mesh that has corners like this, right? Let's say it was tiny compared to what we want to resize it to. So say it was like this big. I need to, let's change the size to something like that. Okay, so say it was tiny. We have like tiny corners, right? If we just stretch from the middle, well, first, I already showed what would happen if we just stretched it. But if we just move everything from middle to right and to left and to up, then say we wanted to scale it to this big, what would really happen is it would be like that, but let's go back to that size. It would be like that, but the corners would be the same size as this. So that's not what we want. To get it reasonable, so say it was like stretched a lot, then we can't just move because, or like scale it to by volume or something like that, because then the corners will turn out like this. So that's not good either. So what we need to do is, so say our dimensions, our desired dimensions would be, like, let's see. Let's get rid of some of this. Say our desired dimensions are something like this. First, we uniform scale to the smallest difference in ratio. So we're starting square here, so that makes it easy to picture. We want to uniform scale it so that it fits within that rectangle. I wish the camera was farther away so you can see my hands. Okay, so that way it would be more like, we get gray. It would be more like this. This, right? So that scales the corners for us, and then we can stretch by the middle this way and this way, but rather than stretching, we just move everything to the right and to the left so that it fits our desired dimensions. I hope that makes sense, but that was the way I was able to figure it out. Yes. The whole reason we're doing this is so that we can make a VR node system that makes this stuff a lot easier. And then it'll have previews on the top. So you have a node and then a preview on the top, and even controls. So if you had a vector, you could have it like just grab the vector. I want to point it that way. So that's the whole reason to do this. But at first, we just need a basic layout system for our nodes to make them even reasonable. Otherwise, like, this would be impossible to do. So let's see what it got me. Public static class, mesh corner preserving resize. Resize mesh preserve corners. So that's going to be the function we call, right? And let's see, uniform scale to fit. Recompute bounds. Unity. Even adjusted from the Unity version. That's wonderful. I mean, this is getting real good. So let's see if we're lucky with this too, because I didn't have to modify anything as far as the static function it gave me the last time. So, hey, maybe we can move this backward a little bit. Can you see my hands better now? Wait, hold on, let's see. Stop my hands. See my hands a little better. But definitely you can't see the way I normally talk. Let's try to scoot it way back here. And then go. Whoop. That might be as far. I'm using like a kind of a boom. I think it weighs too much. Son of. Yeah, the problem is, okay. A little bit better. Okay. Anyhow. Oh. It makes me look short. This is my keyboard, by the way. Like, I don't know if you can see it. It's got one arm and the other arm. So, and then each is upside down. Okay. And the idea is like, you know, for a product, we would have a map right there. Okay. Right to them. Let's tighten this a little bit. Come on. Alright. What was the name of that? The class? We want to name the file the same as the name of the class. So it named it Mesh Corner Preserving Resize class. So that's what we'll name the Mesh Corner Preserving Resize. That's what we'll name our file. So let's add a file. Oh wait, let me zoom. So zoom or it's Control 4. That's right. So Control, if I can find my 4, Control. Control 4. Alright, we've got zoom so you can see what the heck I'm doing. So first we're going to, alright, let's go, yeah, so I'm in there. So let's add a file. And mesh corner preserving something or other. Wait, let's try this again. What was it called again? Our class was called Mesh Corner Preserving Resize. Okay. Oh. Where's, okay. So, what do we want? I don't even think it. F2 rename. Mesh Corner Preserving Resize.cs. And now that we have that, let's see where we're at. Mesh Corner Preserving Resize. I'm just going to paste it. I don't think it accounted for my namespace, so it's at a bracket. And because I'm adding a namespace, I'm surrounding it with a namespace. And then let's go to the top. To the top. Now we want public. Namespace doesn't have a access to it. Namespace the Ellen. From there, I'm going to copy the signature of our function. That's the function that we want to call. And we need to make a component that will use that function. So resize preserve corners.cs, and use Unity Engine almost every time you make a mono behavior, and we want namespace DLN and public class. What do we call it? This is called resize preserve corners. Resize preserve corners extends our layout abstract class. And first we need the dimensions. So I think that's what we're doing. Let's see if it uses the scale or the dimensions in that function. Because if it uses scale, target size, nope. Okay, so we have vector 3 target size. So public vector, oh, it's got to be within the class. So this will appear in our editor. Public vector 3 target size equals yeah, new vector. We'll just say we don't want to make it null. I guess yeah, it's not even nullable. So equals vector new vector 3 vector 3 and then 1 1 1. Okay, and then first, so this is it. I'm in Zoom, so it does weird stuff when you try to touch the screen. So layout op is our layout class. It's our abstract layout class, which we're using as like an interface. And so public override void. The only function in this class is execute. And remember, we copied that function signature, so there it is right there. And then, so this was the definition. If you want to call it, then, so mf, we haven't defined mf yet, but so target size would be our target size that we passed in. And then force unique mesh instance so that it doesn't apply to the shared mesh and change everything. So we set that to true. Like I said, like, so we're just, you want keyword arguments, that's how you do it. And update mesh collider, yes, equals true. Now our mesh filter, I forget how to get the unique mesh filter. So let's go down to mesh corner preserving resize. There was somewhere around here. Bake scale into mesh actually retrieves our mesh filter. Oh no. Mesh scale baker, that's where that function is. So I want to go find mesh filter path. Mesh equals filter. So mesh equals get writable mesh filter, and then so where is get writable mesh? Let's find that. There's a definition of that. I can't just go to definition because of the way I don't have the ID set it up that way. But I guess this makes it easier to follow anyway. So get writable mesh, mf.mesh. Okay, so that makes it easy. Let's go this way. Whoa, what was that? Control 4. Yeah, there we go. So now we're going to go to, and then control 4 again. So get writable mesh, cancel. Oh yeah, I can't use the touch screen for that. Alright, we're going to go to the mono behavior that's using it. So we want var mf equals get target. Oh, we're in the wrong thing. Where is the component? Oh, resize size preserve corners. This is the component I would like to use. Yes. Okay. So we would say var game objects. So geo equals. We need to define our target. In fact, we could just say public game object target, or yeah, thing to resize. and if thing to resize equals null, then I want to throw an error, so debug.log error, and I'm going to find it like that. Thing to resize cannot be null in this dot name. Okay. Right. It's got to be in a continuous line. It has to be in a continuous line. I have to speak up. There's nothing worse than, well, this is not a tutorial, but I'm learning how to make tutorials here, so I should have called it code sessions. So I'll rename that. But all right, that's all we need there. And I don't like any kind of if statements that are on a single line. If it wasn't for the lack of curly braces, everyone would absolutely love Python. Yeah, curly braces are nice. Let's use the touch screen again. See, when I use the touch screen, it does weird stuff while I'm in zoom mode. Is this it? Yeah. Okay. So then we would say we want to retrieve the mesh filter, so var mf equals get thing to resize dot get components mesh filter, and that's all. That's it. Oh, right. So if mf equals null, then debug.log error, and I'll go ahead and this dot name, and could not find mesh filter in this dot name. Alright, so that's all. The only thing left that we needed to add to pass into our resize mesh preserve corners function. And oh, we need a semicolon at the end of here. Hey, our RDE is kind of working. Look, we got a red underline there. That helps us. I did a few things to. Whoa! Okay, control. And there we go. Check, 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 check. It's infinity. Here we go. Now let's compile. And then just as a reminder, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to preserve the corners. So we'll take that rounded cube and then see if it looks different this time if we preserve the corners. Where's it at? Maybe it compiled already. The name multi-part form data content does not exist in the current context, which I never added, but for some reason, even after I removed everything from my, hey, oh, so since it's a static function, we have to call the path of the class, which is mesh corner preserving resize mesh preserve corners. Long name. Okay, refresh, and now it should start. But what is multi-part form data? Okay, resize preserve corners at line 22. resize preserve corners. Multi-part, hold on, let's even, yeah, okay, it did autocomplete, and it didn't even take it, that's weird, but that's what it's been doing to me. Secretly, it's AI trying to sabotage me. Not really, I mean, way before we had AI, we had IDEs that did autocomplete, but I've never seen an IDE do that. Okay, now let's refresh. Control R to refresh. I have it set to not auto refresh because then it will try to reload. It'll try to do this multiple times when I'm not ready, and then I have to wait for it just to look at what's going on in the editor. And while the editor is doing this, I cannot do anything. I think that's why companies that can afford it, they do the and then right here it says compiling scripts. So we still gotta wait to see if it has errors. Okay, it compiled. Now we're gonna test it. So first we're gonna take this and okay, it already applied it. Scale to 1. Wait. So there's a cube. Scale to 1 1 1. So wait, oh that's sphere. Cube interactable? Yeah, there we go. So cube interactable, interaction affords. Cube interactable has a rigid body. It has a mesh filter. Okay, so on the cube interactable, we're going to add our op component, bake scale into mesh. I think it was resize preserve corners. That was the name of our wrapper. And so let's say, oh shoot, all right, this has already been scaled. Let's see, is it scaled to 90? We're gonna just make it 1 1 1, so it's gonna get way smaller. We can zoom in on it. There we go. Fine. Yep. So click it and then press F. There we go. So we want to resize it without stretching the corners, right? Drum roll. So target size, say, was stretch it to 4, right? And then we would go. Oh, wait, you guys can't see down there. Let me move it up so you can see what I'm doing. Move it all the way to the top. So I'm just going to drag this. What? Oh, come on. Come on, man. You're making me crazy. Oh, there we go. Okay. Scroll up, scroll up. There we go. This is another reason we're making a VR, a way to edit meshes in VR. Like, look how much of a pain this is to move that to the top so we can see it. Come on, man. There we go. Go right. Blue line. Blue line. Oh my gosh. Give me a blue line. There we go. Alright, so now you can see it. I want the target, I want it 4 times wider than it is tall. And the thing to resize, do we grab it? Let's just make sure. Thing to resize is the same thing that it's on. And now let's before we do that, we still need to add context menu, so that we can execute it from within the editor. Context text menu. Let me set it back to zoom. So find the for, control for. Context menu. So that's just above the execute function that we're going to call, and we'll call it resize. And I'm going to add this so you know that they know that's a function that we're calling. And now we need to control for, and then we need to recompile. The struggle is real. Now we got to wait for it to recompile again. Oh, I should have, while we were waiting, or while we were doing that, I should have set this to self instead of debug.log error. What? Because no matter what, there's a game object there. We can do that afterwards. Let's just let it compile. Okay. Oh, and then while it's compiling, we can't even go back to Unity. So there we are. It recompiled. We have everything. Now, moment of truth. The moment of truth. Our target size should be 4 times wider than it is tall. And now we should have a menu option to resize, which is right here, and resize. Now, let's find our cube interactable. Oh, we got it. This time, we got an error. No, we did not. Look, okay, so it's not stretched. Our corners are perfect. Bam! Love it. That is so, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So since that works, now I'm going to go and have it apply it to Pro Builder as well. So I don't expect to find any problems there. And I just wanted to show you guys that so you're not like totally lost in what I was doing. And then this is how I'm using AI right now, ChatGPT, because if I use Cursor, like it can't quite do all this yet without good vision, and and it's gonna be, even if it starts being able to do that, I won't be able to afford it because I'm one dude and I don't have a company, and yeah. So this is the best way I've found to use it, where you give it a clearly defined task for like one really difficult operation, and then you create your own wrapper or whatever, like, so you know, at least, so you know it like can remember what you're doing, right? Okay. All right, so that's the end of this non-tutorial. It's just a session. I think I'm gonna go ahead and rename those so that nobody gets pissed off. What the hell? I thought this was a tutorial. Yeah. Okay, so stop streaming. Stop streaming. Click it like this.